Hello, guys of the 16-team league. Here is the commission's preview for the upcoming season. I do want to remind you of a couple things. It's kind of hard to negotiate in 16-team leagues sometimes pre-draft because quite often everybody has a pretty good set of keepers or close to it. I want to remind we got a couple of new members in the 16, so you do not set your keepers just by keeping them on your team. You have to select them, go into keepers, and actually select your keepers. They will be locked 1 hour before draft, so if you fail to do this, fail to overlook your team, if you make a trade in the next few days and need to change your keepers, all these things matter. I always suggest go in and set your keepers, select your keepers, whether you are going to end up keeping them or not, just to make sure you're up on the function. So that's very important. You work all year to get your keepers and then you don't set them. That's terrible. That's happened in the past, and it's a very painful thing. So make sure you do that. Listen, here we go. The Southern Division, I'm going to start out with Birmingham Stallions winning that division simply because by all the moves that Chris has made during this preseason here the last month. If he can't put together a good draft, he might not win the division. But if he does, if he makes a B+ in the draft with the draft picks he has that he's worked for, I think that he will be able to win and have the best record in the league even. However, I'm giving him a record of 9-4 to finish the season. The Memphis Showboats are also loaded and strong, and Jacksonville looks good too, the Bulls. So I'm going to predict that second place at an 8-5 record is going to come down to the matchups between the Bulls and the Showboats. And I think Tampa, although they might be slightly improved, Brian Tracy, there's some work to do there to try to build a strong keeper set. And sometimes you have to give up a draft pick to do that, a valuable draft pick, because you got to think sometimes it's long-term when you're trying to build up from the bottom, and you want to end up potentially at the end of the year with a good keeper set for next year. You can't really think so much about building it all the way up in 1 year. So you sacrifice some draft picks and you get a stronger keeper set and go from there. So good luck, Brian, but I do have you at the bottom this year in the South. Moving on to the East, man, look, Boston Stars, Generals, Maulers. I think the difference in this division is going to really be up to Lamar Jackson. I think if Lamar Jackson has the year he had last year and the Maulers keep the right three or make the right moves, somehow they're going to edge this thing out. The Generals, Jose, he's not been on top in the East yet after 2 seasons, but he's got a great keeper set. Boston, the reigning champ right now, great keeper set. Philadelphia, this thing could go 7-6, everybody, and be determined in the last week. I do think Jackson with the Maulers is a wild card this year. Darren has been on the bottom in the past in the seasons, but I think this year with the right moves, along with Jackson, the Maulers may pull out the East, the Atlantic. In the Central Division, Ken Beatty, he just looks like to me, just looking at his team, he's got a solid keeper set. I don't recall if he's got someone he could try to trade for a little mid-round draft pick that somebody else could use to improve his position there. But I'm going to go with Michigan and the Blitz, both going 9-4, because I think the Blitz are going to be pretty strong. And that's going to come down to a matchup. You win your 2 division games against a divisional foe, it goes a long ways. 2-0 for you, 0-2 for them. That means they have to make it up somewhere else. So that's what I'm looking at there. Oklahoma has been good since they've been in there. Ian Brown, But I think he's going to fall short this year at 8-5, and then Houston, I'm giving them a 6-7 record, and it may be worse if some bold moves maybe are not made there. So, and then the Pacific Division, we've got El Briscoe with the LA Express. Man, he's put together a great team, the 20-team league, and looks like he's done about the same here in the Pacific in the number 16-team league. And Arizona Wranglers, both of these teams here, Kevin is very experienced in the 20-team league, makes him a little bit better player. I don't know what happened to Kevin last year in both leagues, but he's going to bounce back. I'm looking at the matchups here too, LA and Arizona Wranglers. It's going to come down between those divisional games. If they split them, I think LA wins the division. If Arizona can somehow pull off 2 wins against the Express, I think Arizona will win a tiebreaker there and win. I think Denver, Ron Freeman is going, I think that's the team I'm sitting on. I think Ron is going to play this year. He's been kind of quiet, and I have made a couple of moves or attempted to with Denver. I'm letting him, he's going to go into the draft. Ron, you got to be there, you got to be sharp. You need to do some mock drafts, Ron. If you haven't, do some mock drafts and try to find, there's thousands of mock drafts. Just try to find at least a 14 or 16 team league to do a mock draft. That's going to really help you. You can't do enough mock drafts at this point. But I am putting Denver as third, and Oakland is right there with them. Both of these teams, because of LA and Arizona, could suffer losing records this year. Really all bounce about the draft. Look, guys, this league is going to be, there's going to be a lot more parity in this league than there's been in the past years. So every move you make pre-draft and the draft, make sure you use the auto-pick draft strategy. Very, very important. Use the auto-pick draft strategy. Do not use best available player because that sometimes can get you an individual defensive player on your team that you don't want. You're going to see in the draft the individual defensive players load up after about, I don't know, the 6th or 7th or 8th round pick. They're going to be in your way. You got to start going by position of what you want in that particular round. If you just click running backs because you want a running back in that round, then you are going to not see those individual defensive players. You can also go to your auto pick draft strategy and limit the amount of individual defensive players you're going to have. Now, it's different in there because they have 5 different positions of individual defensive players. So it's best to put a 0 at the minimum and maximum on all of them except the position you want. For instance, there's 5 positions: safety, I think it's safety, cornerback, defensive lineman, linebacker, and maybe something else. It might just be 4, but safety. So what you do is you're going to put a 0 minimum, 0 maximum on all of them except for the, let's say, linebacker, and you pick 0 and 1 for the linebacker. That way, in the draft, no matter what happens, you're not going to end that draft and lose out on a couple of good offensive positions by having 3 individual players, and it can happen. So for you new guys, the other guys that, maybe you've been here 2 years, but, sometimes it takes 3 times the charm to really get it in your head how things work. It's so much different. I've seen a lot of activity from Chris from Birmingham, and maybe those that he's dealt with have made a deal. But a lot of you, I believe, are kind of sort of sitting on your hands. I don't know if you're in a million leagues, but I really want everyone to know that your moves really matter. This league's going to have a lot of parity. So what if the Stallions do kind of run high and have the best record? All you got to do is get them in the playoffs and everything be right because you've made moves all season. So good luck, guys. Draft night, it has been changed from 7:15 Central Standard Time to 7 o'clock to allow more time for those in both leagues to draft in the next draft, the 20-team league. Good luck, guys.